feels very high value, removing the Ahri away from Harder as well. So what he did in that first game. Now, the question is, I think as anyone's legend, you might also want to take away something like that Vi to stop the primary combo coming in from the side of IG. Instead, they say, no, we don't want to deny your combo. We want to have our strong combo instead. Particularly with the Jax Sejuani, very, very hard to survive that. You kind of have to lock in something like K'Sante now to have a hope of surviving through topside.
Yeah, and again, look, K'Sante, is it really the wheelhouse of someone like YSKM? Yes, he's played it, but we think about him on things like the carries. And I will say, he hasn't played it this split, actually. I'm completely wrong. YSKM has never played K'Sante this split. He is Camille, the Jax, the Gwens, the Aurelias, the Fioras, Silas even, but no K'Sante. So Nymaera, debut here in this game on something a bit more passive for him. Maybe a better direction for IG to find carries elsewhere.
I think this draft has to call for it, though, because when you look at the Jax and the Sejuani, you look at that and say, that's really dangerous in a 2v2. What is one of the hardest top laners to kill, but still manages to be able to clear waves and be a threat later into the game? The K'Sante falls into that wheelhouse. YSKM did play a bit of K'Sante back in spring, played 5 games, it went 3-2. It wasn't his specialty pick, but that was at a point where K'Sante was much stronger, of course. A number of nerfs have come in since then. Azir locked in for Harder, though. That is now changing the equation a little bit. It's not double melee synergy coming out for the Sejuani, and it's still under threat from the Ahri Vi combo, because you can dash away, but you don't feel great about it. I think the way you overcome this is something that Chovy does quite often as well into this kind of combo, where you just build up Crown on Azir, and you hope that there isn't enough stuff to break the Crown. So you can still sit in the side lane, put up your temporary turret if you need to as well, and try and hope that that mythic item can buy you enough time for your team to come rally to your defense if that mid-jungle combo comes to your throat.
So my question to you is, do you think that Azir is a harder champion?
Swear to God, Xiaohao. They still tell jokes like that 30 years in the future, huh? Thought we get rid of them by now.
When I'm a father, they're going to get so much better. I've got so many dad jokes lined up. My kid, might like kick me in the leg by the time they're 3 years old. That was good. Ladies and gentlemen, if I don't laugh at it, no one will. You just got to do that. It's I a band, though. I'll bring you back into the game so you don't have to linger on this. At the very least, hey, this is an iBoy Aphelios angle
my
again,
worst one. My worst one is a League of Legends one I told recently, where you have 2 top laners which are just really envious each other because the grasp is always greener on the other side. I don't think grasp is taken by Jax. Sadly, it doesn't work in this game, but I like that one. Could you at least laugh a little bit? Is that okay?
Yeah,
no.
That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Right, cool. Eddie carries being locked in. Aphelios, long range. Suddenly IG are at a point where they are once again going to be diving into anyone's Legends composition. We saw that. The game 1 comp felt like IG were diving into anyone's Legend around an objective, and then they were getting reset on and ran down. This kind of game, it feels like, again, they're going to be diving into AL, and I'm looking at, again, something like those melee supports to help out iBoy kind of survive the initial engage, because they do outrange. IG have to dive into them at this point, and picking that Nautilus definitely helps with that.
That's why, yeah, as you were saying, getting, part of that engage tool on the board, it feels like a very, not just a dive-heavy comp, Nymaera, but a comp that once it snowballs, once it starts running away with game, it's so hard to come back from. Like, how do you stop a dive comp from destroying you from the mid-game onwards, from the early game onwards, even at that point? But AL, Nymaera, we know what this comp's about, right? Picking some angles, but necessarily giving a front to back and an easy engage for iBoy to carry, with Harder as well.
It's sit on an objective, sit on an area of the map, outrange, force IG to come into you, and just use your heavy CC from your jungle and support to keep your carry safe and burst down those targets. IG on the other side, they kind of need to reach a damage threshold where they can burst out those targets even through the tankier front line. Whether that is killing the first target of something like that Nautilus who's out of position, or actually reaching the back line itself, that's a matter of how the execution plays out in game. But at least it feels like IG have a more coherent composition and one with more answers to what AL put on the table. But the sad thing is, they still need to be coherent as players rather than just a composition. And that's been the stumbling block for IG.
IG, bring it all together. Otherwise, another 0-2 against them, where this has just been one of the most disappointing splits in a very long time. Even more disappointing than I think Mole was on the team, much to Lyric's dismay. That was one of the worst splits as well. Like, IG have had a couple of them in recent years, but this one is looking real rough around the edges. Will YSKM being on tanks change things here? Will more of a focus towards that bot lane 2v2 make any difference here? As AL, their game looking pretty simple to call it out. Harder had a great game one on the Ahri. This time he's playing Nymaera, going up against it. AL desperate for the win here to make their near impossible run seem like a potential reality. Their schedule sucks, guys. It's so hard. If you haven't seen already, AL have to verse the top teams outside of BLG. They've still got Weibo, LNG, OMG Top Esports. Yes, they've versed JDG, they've versed BLG, but it doesn't matter. Oh, wait, the respect is real. That's how you know.
That's just CD saying, hey, no hard feelings from game one, right? The 50 CS lead out, don't worry about it. Let's just have a dance.
What are we doing, bot? No moonwalking down here. Not at the very least for now. 100 games in the LPL. Wow. Actually, wow. Who was it the other day? I'm not sure if anyone can remember. 300 games yesterday for a player in the LPL, and it was someone who's been here since like 2019. I'm not sure. Was it Hope? No. But 100 games for Arn is actually kind of mind-boggling. That's a lot. In a regular season, let's say like we average out 2.5 per series. Sorry, Nymaera, are you going to say something?
No, I was trying to think who it was, because I was trying to remember if it popped up during our game. I was wondering if it would be either one of the BLG or FPX players. I just couldn't remember exactly who it was. It slips my mind for now. But level 1, potentially explosive here. Rakan at level 1, if you do get a 2-man knockup, it gets really, really dangerous. But of course, you can get cancelled out of your knockup by the Nautilus with a well-timed hook. It's not the easiest thing to do. So onto the Rift we go. Cryin playing that Ahri versus the Azir. We've seen a lot of this matchup, particularly this time last year. But with the Azir changes, the matchup has changed a fair amount as well. It's less about the poke and flashing straight to bot side.
Oh, that was a nice quick flash as well. iBoy just paying the respect. And instant summoner from Wink pressing W. Remember, he also burned flash as well.
But he has the Hex Flash, and now this lane now becomes about, if IG have push and control those bushes, you can Hex Flash out of the bush and have a very low counterplay and engage onto iBoy. So pay real attention to who has control of the bushes towards this bot side. I think Xiaohao doesn't necessarily want to be babysitting this bot side if it's all possible. Their best combination is their melee synergy towards that top side in that Jax. Yes, Nautilus has it towards the bot side, but Jax Sejuani, that's your premier combo that you really want to get ahead and allows EDZ a similarly dominant performance to get one.
IG obviously aware of this and just playing towards their strength of the map then. Wink scouting out, camps are gone, jungler's top side. Bit of information given over to here to Tianzhen. I like as well that Arn currently playing with the IG Jackulov skin from 2018 Worlds. Like, giving a nod to his predecessor as well. And it's nice. I mean, Gala did the same. We saw Jackulov on his own skin the other day as Turret for CDZ. Nice from YSKM. But Nymaera, like, we've had so many good Kaisers over this week. It is just great to see the champion back, because I think LPL Kaiser is the one champion I'd say that hits different. It is like, I think it's better than any other region, and people can fight me on that.
It's, when you have someone like Viper over in LCK, maybe you consider him and part of that as well, because he was part of the LPL for such a long time. iBoy has no flash, potential of an engage down here. Wave is pushing out.
Oh, there's
that is awkward, buddy.
It is, but they still get the Ignite down. iBoy is still a shot away, but the flash from Arnie tried to angle. He tried to angle that Void Seeker down the line, and Zorah flashed in front. What a bro.
Get yourself a support that puts their body on the line for you like that. Zorah, crazy reactions. If you didn't know, here's your introduction for it. You can redirect the Kaiser W much in the way that you can do something like an Ahri Charm, where you press the ability and then you flash afterwards. You can put it around minions, you can close distance, you can change the angle of it. Tried to do the same thing with the VIQ, but it already hit the Nautilus, so it already times out. I think that's what kills that combo. If you hit someone before you end up flashing, the ability goes off, and that one is just a little awkward.
Anyway?
I think so.
Would have missed anyway, but hang on. Meanwhile, Arn is taking a 1v2, cleansed away. Zorah is about to get second skinned to death. Rooted up, though. The shield's big as first blood goes to Arn in a solo kill versus support. iBoy just stands there while now he has to rely on his jungler. Gravitum's going to be there. Arn close getting locked up with no cleansers. Q misses from Xiaohao. The Arctic Assault still helps iBoy find the mark as it ends in a 1-for-1 trade.
And it ends probably being a loss for Arn, because look how many minions there are there. That's like, what, like 12, 15 being close lost to the tower at this point. You're going to pick up maybe the last 1 or 2 range creeps as you're walking back into lane right now, but that's a huge amount of CS to be losing, a huge amount of XP to go under that tower. So while the gold is there for Arn from that first blood, that's nice. This is a pretty big loss all in all.
Well, as you said, a bit of minions denied. iBoy going to be feeling pretty fine here with a good back timing as well. Look at the replay, because Nymaera just trying to wonder how this happened. I guess Zorah was trying to hard push the wave. And look, just free damage for Arn.
So what this will be is a bit of a mind game about, okay, who's resetting when. You can see that Rakan's back from lane, right, walking from base. So iBoy and Zorah, they think that they have the ability to get a free push in the lane, get themselves an extra wave in terms of gold for their first base of the game. And Arn makes the use of that and the low HP bars to make something happen towards that bot side.
But nothing else happens throughout the rest of the map. It's just that bot side, as we mentioned, is Harder going to get charmed up now. Kind of trying to fluke that he was, not fluke, but bluff, rather, that he was going to use that Emperor's Divide. Cryin doesn't pull any kind of trigger whatsoever, holds on. As Tianzhen does dragon down bot side. Now IG have priority down here. That's helping things out. But remember, Arn did lose out a minion wave before from the push from iBoy. So gold actually in favor of iBoy right now, it feels like. As this wave is just going to crash into his turret, and iBoy should be crawling out ahead if he hits all the minions, which unfortunately he missed a couple.
But you look at the bot lane matchup right now and you still see that Arn is still very relevant in this game. Just would have been so much further ahead if they'd managed to pick up that that wave towards bot side and not die in that 1 versus 2 play, which happened just before that point. But sadly couldn't make that one happen. And we're now looking at fairly even game states. Level 6 is about to get hit by junglers. You can see it hit by Tianzhen. Xiaohao about to hit that on the zhiqiuyi as well. Very interested to see what happens around Herald this game. Last game we saw Arn sit alone in bot side, pick up some plates, and it does feel like with the wave working out with them and the lane working out for them, I think IG would really like to keep Arn bot side and keep this bot lane pressure up if at all possible.
Give him more golden advantage, but for now, Xiaohao, before that Herald spawns, wants to get something bot himself. And AL, all it will take as a hook here is Hex Flash going to be burned, Arn and Wink running away, Dredge Line not connecting. They surely should have some kind of idea. Xiaohao now is there. He's got the Glacial Prison available. But Arn and Wink trying to bait him in as information gathered, and IG should have first pick of the litter up in top side.
Level 6, of course, available for the Vi. I mentioned that just a little bit before. And if you can use that to combo in with your Ari, of course, great value to be had there. Someone like Harder needs to be really, really worried at this point. This Azir is not safe from that combo. Not until you have your first item, really. And you expect that to be something like a crown if at all possible. AL, instead, they're putting their pressure towards bot side. Xiaohao making sure that the Kai'Sa and the Rakan can't just continually go towards this bot side. You know something which I'm annoyed about? We aren't getting the Kai'Sa Rakan IG skins for the both of them. They could have had both IG skins, and they haven't used both of them. And that kind of annoys me.
That disrespect from Wink. Maybe he just doesn't respect Baolan anymore. He just didn't want to partner up. You're right, it should have been the combination. But, I mean, even then, you could have gone for the, wait, that's not Samsung Galaxy one, is it? No, that's the Cosmic.
That's the Cosmic one. And even then, even when we get Zyrakan, the amount of players that don't match skins on those champions also really annoys me. They're like the only champions in the game you're going to get that kind of interaction with. Like, come on, make the most of it.
I mean, again, you know, that synergy not there. And I have to say, I wonder if players still get the cut from when the skins played in Tournament Realm. I'm going to assume not, because I think when you win Worlds, you also get a sample of the skin sales. I have heard that many times before.
Yeah, I
don't
heard
know
that as well.
to what truth it is.
I know there are some of the bundles. There are some cosmetics that come with it, because like the icons and the emotes and whatever, they will put a certain amount of the RP cost towards that team as well.
It'd be good. It's like a little investment. It's like you have a timeshare in League of Legends to a degree as well. Very nice. As we are just kind of waiting for, you know, the next passage of play. Herald was taken by IG, as now Tianzhen's just caught out and has to flash over the wall. Charm is buffered, and IG now starting to move towards mid, but hey, What are they going to do? They're going to set up for the next dragon in minute 30, and we're just chill until then.
You already see double Merc Treads built up for the Azir and the Nautilus, which is already kind of annoying for IG's primary initiators. You can see that that's a good hook.
Oh, and the combo as well as Cryin will get out of there for the time being. As he picks up the rest of this CS, Wink comes in just to help her brother out. I mean, this is just simple. Little play here from the support. But Zorah tries to get the kill. Uses the Ignite, uses ulti for it. Won't have that available for Dragon, most likely.
Vi still has no flash, remember. There's potential of all-in happening towards that bot side, but I don't think with any of the damaging members nearby that was going to happen. Now Arn's going to miss the memo.
Dredge line all it takes, and that should be easy, but against the wall to kite back, that's great. Killer Instinct helped out as well. Xiaohao ulting after the fact that Tianzhen doesn't hit the mark. A little bit sloppy here and there, as now that ulti's down for Xiaohao, it feels like AL's chance to Dragon just get harder.
That one's awkward. Of course, no Spirit Rush on the side of Cryin still, and some key tools removed from Arn in the IG. It's not like they haven't burned anything either, but I think with some HP bars removed a little bit from that Ophelos makes it a bit harder for themselves to go towards it. Hex Flash over the wall. Very nearly hits the target. Herald going to go down towards Arn yet again. He's going to pick up another healthy chunk of gold for himself.
Well, gets the gold, gets a push on Zorah. Not much AL can do. Apart from just sit there and try and defend turret. I mean, it's hard. IG have static shiv on this Kai'Sa. And it is 13-12, guys. So, still, the wave clear is insane. As iBoy is left behind. He didn't back. He flashes away. But under turret, well, Arn's tanking it up. He flashes in the end. He survives. Just out of range. As it was messy, but they still get the job done.
Why does he stay there, though? Very greedy to stay when the rest of his team had backed off. Dragon was still available. There was still interest for IG on the bot side of the map. It was always very likely that someone was going to be hanging around there. It was more than enough to see the Ophelos into the grey screen. So what happened here? We're getting a picture-in-picture. Okay, so ult for flash trade in the mid lane. Harder, no Emperor's Divide, but taking that flash away from Cryin will be very important if someone walks into the mid lane and dumps a dredge line or a depth charge towards their direction. And now, without that flash, see if they feel bold enough to go towards this dragon plate.
I mean, they're doing it very, very slowly. Harder still without an item. And remember, IG based because they got the kill, had to reset. They're now coming back out, and Wink still has his ult, still has flash available.
Teleport.
TP playing AL in a bit of a trap as Wink running forward, getting a quickness onto 2 Zorah. Left by his lonesome as YSCam now an angle onto iBoy, who has no summoners from the last play. iBoy just in no man's land again, man. AL bit all over the place in his bottom side.
And ZDZ doesn't have teleport, can't join the play, at least gets a whole load of plates towards top side, but I mean, I would take the lead on the Kai'Sa. You're going to get yourself first turret on the bot side of the map if you stay for this, which indeed they are. Going to give that solo gold over towards Arn. Should be an easy turret race win. I think there's no demolish proc available for ZDZ, and instead he's going to get himself a good reset, deny some minions to that tower, just as Arn is doing on this bot side. So AL, they're the ones which are kind of flubbing the first couple of fights in the game this time around, and Arn is in a very good spot on the Kai'Sa.
Yeah, watch again though, because AL, I mean, talk about flopping the fights. They're splitting up here, Nymaera. Some members want to run, some want to stay and fight, and it's just a weird angle.
I think part of the reason they're split up is the fact that Wink had a really good Rakan combo, comes out off of Vision, very good flash combo over the wall, kind of separates the team up with the charm and the knockup, means that they can't form their own kind of phalanx to fight back. No Emperor's Divide either. Next time you try that though, Crown has been built up for harder. It's not that easy to remove that from range. Typically you're looking for something which is, you know, very spammable from long range to try and just poke that Crown off. There isn't that much really on the side of IG that can take that away. So harder can be much harder to shut down if you go for a burst combo again. Okay, okay. Thank you, Arn, proving me completely wrong with the Kai'Sa W. That's the one thing they could do it with.
Yeah, it's so annoying. But ultimately, IG in a 2k gold lead in this early game. Dragon was picked up by AL in the end, so they've equaled one apiece. But IG now looking for top Herald, while AL are moving into position with some of those ultis up and available again. But remember, iBoy still without a flash. He's been caught out a couple of times now as he walks in, and IG making the move. This time the Q flash does work with Charm following up. Nice from IG. Wink backline again onto iBoy, but the depth charge was massive onto Arn. He'll die to a permafrost as Zorah manages to climb out of there as well. Cryin trying to jump back in with the Spirit Rush, but Zorah sidesteps. YSCam, meanwhile, dealing with ZDZ in the top side, and Herald will be theirs with a beneficial trade.
And you know that Kaiser W that took away that crown probably wins IG that fight in the Herald. Harder was very close to being able to ult and flash away, but very bold positioning, greedy positioning really from the Azir around that mid lane, knowing that there were so many flashes available to close down that distance. CGZ is walking in towards this Herald again. I don't think there's much he can do besides just be a spectator as they take that one away from the Rift. Back into the replay though. Pink ward in the river helps them have some vision, but it's just not nearly enough. Tianzhen not going to fail that Q flash 2 times in a row. That will be, of course, for one of our first plays of the game. Doesn't manage it in that case. And Wink on this Rakan, getting huge value again. Rakan was banned away in game 1, not able to be picked up, but Wink having a great game in this game too.
Yeah, look, 0-0-5, almost 100% kill participation. Alongside Arn, it's been a very explosive bot duo, and that's what got them ahead. That's what got them a bit of a lead down in the 2v2. iBoy again keeps getting caught out. Nymaera, it's this flash that when it's off cooldown, iBoy just a sitting duck. And they're really abusing this man in this game. And on top of that, let's be real, as you said, you know, Harder was caught out there, wasn't able to do much to the play. IG using these pick tools very, very well as they're trying to do so again in top.
Yeah, they have the ult, good amount of damage, but misses the Q. I think that'll be the end of that play, so ZDZ gets out for free. See another Merc Dreads built up for that Jax, so a lot of ability to get Tenacity down. And looking at the side of IG, because it is the AP Kaiser, imagine is this going to be at a premium for anyone's Legends, so waiting to see if Xiaohao, ZDZ and Zorah can pick up a few more defensive stats to help them outlast that initial engage. I think if AL managed to survive past the initial engage, that's where we'll really see that combo start to come alive. I think that IG, they need to kill the first target cleanly.
Well, as well, you know, AL need a bit of time too. You know, we talked a lot about how this team fight would work out, how AL as well, you know, we've got some hard scaling here, Nymaera, Azir, Aphelios, even Jackson the side lane eventually. We know that AL need a bit more time in this game number 2, but they are falling behind in gold. Should be able to capitalize on this with a Harder getting top Tara, but Xiaohao's coming in as Sun Turret goes up. Meanwhile, Zorah's caught out, Everfrost, and bopped around. He doesn't get to move. Caught in a jumping castle, and IG are now just going to push mid even further.
Yeah, that Herald's a big power play available for them. Harder put down the temporary turret towards that top side. It's going to be here towards mid. Doesn't have his crown again. That was popped by YSCam, even though it cost him his flash. Now Tianzhen, chance to make a big ult play on the turret.
Okay, well, an attempt is there. iBoy, ult doesn't work. Xiaohao, ult doesn't work. And ZDZ's like, guys, I would have TP'd in and probably made a difference here in this game if one of you landed an ulti.
He had no cleanse as well. That was a perfect time to go towards that play, but not quite there on the distances. iBoy having a bit of a shocker in game 2. Part of it's just because the amount of focus he's had on himself, but part of it's been on the execution as well. Top side, as we saw, Harder takes the turret, puts up his own, and YSCam has to get the heck out of dodge. He's had an easier game in this game too, compared to game 1, not hard counted as the Jax versus the Cannon. Let's see if he can have more impact than game 1 later into the game.
Well, Dragon goes down, and IG still maintaining their lead here in this game. Wink going to stop back as well. ZDZ in a bit of trouble. He was caught shopping there for a second as Everfrost and Counter-Strike to save the day. Leap strikes over the wall, but in flies on. Free kill, caught snoozing. ZDZ definitely not having the clean game he had in game 1.
He's in the shop. He's in the shop. What else do you say? Just really awkward back location. And he's not even in a bush. He's perfectly envisioned for Wing to stop that back. And AL, you know, in game 1, we were talking about them being really on pace for the game. They were really on the same page, playing their combos very well. And so many individual uncharacteristic mistakes from the last few series anyway. I mean, this is not the same AL from Spring where it felt like they couldn't do anything right. It felt like they were struggling incredibly, but why are you recalling that, dude? Just why are you recalling that? It's so greedy. Felt very unnecessary. And yes, you get a couple of ultimates at the end of it. That's something. 3 ultimates for 1 kill, but every death in the side lane stops AL being able to stabilize, and by that time they need to come online as scaling carries.
Yep, keeps game nice and difficult for them. 4,000 gold against them. IG are slowly building this advantage. Tianzhen this game has a majority of the kills as well. 4 for him. So might actually do a lot more damage than you all expect, as we know Arn is the other carry that is really going to be popping off this time around too. 2 items here with the Nashes on the Kai'Sa. Hell, even YSKM having a good time on this K'Sante. ZDZ, is he in trouble? That's the question you want to know, as this follow-up will continue. IG trying to move up as Cryin, picking off the pieces that move from AL. ZDZ drawing a lot of attention, while IG still a 4-man stack towards topside.
Tianzhen finds the Sejuani, no aftershock.
Pathing. You know that they're all topside. Quickness going to be used by Wink. Charm not connecting. Zorah now caught out. AL, what are you doing? ZDZ just walks in as well. I mean, why would Xiaohao walk through his own jungle when they had no vision? They knew IG were moving topside. ZDZ even knew. What? Now Baron starts.
Yeah.
What?
It's past 20 minutes. You've lost complete control of the top side of the map. Maybe that's why Xiaohao passed towards topside out of fear of Baron being started, but it's going to cost them an awful lot. How do AL fight this?
Well, Xiaohao needs to steal it, especially if it's going to be flipped around as IG getting poked out at least by Harder. Done a bit of damage already. iBoy doing the same. Wrong guns, but right movement as IG just walk away from the Baron. We're going to get a replay in a second, guys. We know we are. And let's just kind of watch why AL decided...
Let us observe what has come to pass in that strange passage of play. I really hope we get a replay because there was some weirdness happening there. I think IG... you know, we said that they struggle to be proactive in Game 1. They're one of our least proactive teams in the LPL, but they have individual leads to play around now. That kind of papers over the cracks of that, because just by existing on an area of the map, you're kind of proactive because you're forcing a response. It's very hard to not be proactive when you have such a strong initiating jungler like the Vi ahead of the game, and then something like the Kai'Sa being able to follow up. Not sure we are going to get that replay now. It's been a little while. I was hoping for that, because we could ponder the nature of whatever the heck AL did towards that top side. But with them surviving that last period of play, they are at least in a position to get some more gold on their carries.
I will say they're probably not replaying. They're just like, we don't need to show that. Everyone knows that that shouldn't have happened. So, I guess respect. The bot lane is 7 out of the 9 deaths right now for IG. I mean, they've had a really rough go of it. And even Game 1, Arn and Wink with a shining light for IG throughout the majority. But unfortunately, you know, the rest of the IG map was crumbling. This time, that's not the case as Baron started again. Arn is in control, especially on Baron. This is going to get shredded. ZDZ's in the right place, but look, Harder has to back away, teleport in. AL are late to this show.
But IG, they don't have the tank there. They don't have YSKM to make sure they can be healthy while they're taking the Baron. Tianzhen losing about a third of his HP. I think that's what ends up calling it off. They end up getting the teleport out of Harder either way. That was their goal all along, because they don't want this Azir to just soak up farm in this bot side, get towards 3 items. He's gone very defensive for his first 2, Crown and Zhonya's. And while we have seen Kai'Sa remove that Crown shield fairly regularly, very importantly so. No, please don't recall Envision again, iBoy. He's got to stop. I was actually wondering if that would lead towards a play somewhere else in the map, but IG were on their own resets. But yeah, I mean, once you get to 3 items on the Azir, AL's team composition actually has damage again.
Well, we're almost there at the very least. Not there for iBoy yet. He's only picked up 2 items. Harder, though, trying to converge in. Xiaohao making an ambitious play. There's 3 members here. Harder just going to get out, but still hover around as Sun Turret goes down. 3 members spotted topside. Pings are now going for Dragon as Tianzhen is already 3/4 of the way through it. ZDZ walking up as YSKM tries to zone him away. That's teleport from IG as well, as Tianzhen will just find this on the back of the pit and then look to run out, or maybe look for the fight. iBoy grabbed him. There's the ulti onto this Aphelios, and over flies Cryin. It is the nuke squad again. The dive buddies just jump on in as Zorah knocks him up, but AL are so split, fighting in a choke. Versus this team ain't going to work out, as Harder's still alive, doing quite a lot with ZDZ. Solo lane is coming into fruition, but there's not enough damage yet. They walk into the baited arms of IG, and they get punished.
Why are they contesting before they are ready to fight? It's such an ill-advised play. They lose 4 people for it. There's a pause coming out. We'll figure out what that's about in a little bit. We'll give you information as soon as we can.
At 6 p.m. There is crap everywhere. It is disgusting.
Okay.
KFC, fix up your shop.
So Baron's gone. You see, for me, I went to university in Sheffield in the UK. West Street Live would be our version of like the hellhole in the city. I'm sure many people out there have had their own experiences with that own little dive. But either way, AL, they're funneling a own little piece of home for me at that point, because this is just like, what are they doing here? It is an absolute mess. Like, you're out on a Friday night, you don't know where you've ended up being, and suddenly you wake up back in base because you've been completely deleted out of this game. iBoy doesn't get a chance to really do anything here. Like, I mean, what do you do? The engage range is far too strong, it's far too long range, and IG, they have the follow-up at this point. Despite the fact that the Azir gets to stand and fight, it's a very low damage first two items. It's not enough to carry these fights as the sole carrier, and we're back into a pause, and Harder has now disconnected.
I bought the wrong items. Well, we'll just wait and see on this one. Pause number 2. This is the most pauses we've had, like, in a couple of weeks.
In 30 years' time, have
you
you done away with pauses yet? Has there been like a 30-year chrono break in
30 years' time? Yeah. Time is no longer linear, right? And so I'm going to share a theory. I was listening to Joe Rogan, right? Whatever, you judge me, whatever. There was a show. Someone came on and talked about.
Well.
Yeah, of course it can. The invention of time machines, right? And time, like, they can't come back to this point because their theory was when time machines are invented, that's when time is no longer linear from that point onwards, right?
So the thing is,
dispute.
So time. So this is where I get to use my physics degree. So time and space are fundamentally the same thing. They kind of like all interwoven and stuff like that. We technically have invented time machines. They just go further forward in time. They just can't go backwards. If you travel really fast, like around the sun, you could do that. In fact, I think there was an experiment where there were a set of twins. One of them went to space and one of them came back, and he was minutely older than his twin after that point, which was crazy stuff. It's just going backwards is the hard bit. Which AL, they would love to go backwards in time. They're not going to do that. They're going to sit here and watch it happen again.
Because
ZDZ has altered.
ZDZ just altered. Yeah, that's just it. Yeah, okay. GG, go next. Of course, you know, not the best theory, not the most, I guess, the smart. I don't know about the theory, but still fun. As AL don't have a Jax ulti. Let's just go to the next one, I guess, because IG are 9,000 gold up. AL have looked shocking this game, to say the least. And IG have really cleaned up their gameplay. I think that's a good positive.
It has been, because they've struggled with proactivity. We both called that out. And now having those individual advantages really helps. And that is just a tickling from the Inferno Ball. It's not what they need. AL, they clear out a wave, but they are sorely bleeding out here.
Yes, they are. They're just struggling to hold on to their base. Top side's broken. Mid, close to as well. And IG just picking up some of their last items, it feels like, before they either get towards this dragon or they run into the base yet again. AL still without their third item on that Azir or on that Aphelios either. IG have come back in using teleport for YSCam to now break open mid. And here we go, Tianzhen in. iBoy, what has he done this game? Ladies and gentlemen, absolute smashing. And a good ulti from Harder, I guess, but there's no chance. AL have just been creamed this game. Like, this is over. We're going to a game 3, but man, I hope AL, like, show us what they showed us in game 1 again, so that this game, with IG's new form, looks competitive.
Yeah, they've been turned into cream of panda soup. Never tried that one before. They don't particularly want to try it either. It looks pretty ugly in this one. Anyone's Legend really just pasted, as you've been saying. IG struggle with proactivity, but when you have so many early game leads and aggressive diving picks, it really helps you in regards to that. So Anyone's Legend, they need to really take a step back and particularly figure out what happened around that bot side, because it felt like iBoy being left out to dry